And you as a white man, when you get there with me, I will eat you. And wipe up the sauce with some chapati. My friends, we are all victims of it. But I'm saying, if we want to build lasting peace, do not let the politicians do that. Build lasting peace from the ground up, because then you have firm foundations. If you Muslims, Palestinians, Jews want to build a lasting peace, start it today. Start it now. Start it by having conversations with each other on the grounds about your beliefs, about your opinions. Don't fight and argue, because people have opinions for whatever they're worth. I say this without reservation or apology. If I were a Palestinian, the likelihood is that I would most probably be a suicide bomber or someone using extreme methods or means to reclaim my own land. I know that from the personality and character that I have. If I were a Palestinian, I might be a suicide bomber. But if I were an Israeli, I too might be a part of the IDF. I too might be a militant radical claiming that these lands are ours and you Palestinians must die. Because I'm saying to you, both sides are victims of history with sharp ideological differences that need to be negotiated and mediated. Now, one person who I admire in a real sense, and in fact by all rights I should hate him, was that Israeli general, the most famous Israeli general, Moshe Dayan. Moshe Dayan, after the Six-Day War, after he demonstrated the strength of the Israeli army, he said that we should only occupy these lands temporarily. That was Moshe Dayan. Now you have to remember, in the early days, Israel has actually proved itself. And I actually respect Israel in one sense. And Israel should be used as an example for you Muslims. Because what Israelis have done, or Jews have done, they have shown what you can achieve when you stick together, when you work together, when you organize. That has been you Muslims' failure. They have demonstrated what you can achieve. Remember, people did not think that Israel would survive. Israel wasn't receiving assistance from America or France or Britain. People thought after 1948 that the Muslims are going to amass, which they did, and they were going to chase Israel, the Jews, into the sea. As a result of certain circumstances in history, whereby we saw the persecution of Jews, not just in Germany, because people have the idea that Jews are persecuted in Germany. No, they were persecuted right across Europe. As a result of that persecution, the Jews said we need a homeland of our own. And they said, never again. So they were determined to train, to arm themselves, to create elite military squads. I don't condone it because I think they've become brutal. They've suppressed, murdered, butchered Palestinians. But they have done it in the name of their own survival. Jews don't hate Palestinians because they're Muslim. Palestinians don't hate Jews because they're Jewish. The issue that people are fighting about is land. It's all about land. The Jews want the land and the Palestinians want their land back. The Jews could be Jamaicans and the Palestinians are these fucking Jamaicans. Likewise, we could be, as Jamaicans, be saying, we deserve a homeland, man. Cha, this land good and fertile to grow some good herbs. Either way, stereotypes, but you get the gist. I'm saying to you, the issues of history.
Would you give 1% of land for peace?
Would I give 1% of land for peace?
Yes.
Of course I would.
This is what the Jews are asking.
It's necessary. However,
this is what the Jews are asking.
However, what is happening in Israel is the Israeli government are building settlements. What we had, I say, is a solution, a quick solution, immediate solution to the Israeli-Palestinian problem. And in fact, we don't have to go to the UN to demand resolutions because everything is already there. I say revert back to the borders of 1967 as pre-67, which as are affirmed by Resolution 242. Go back to that resolution.
All you have to do.
That's all you have to do, and each side respects their borders and boundaries, and then we have a two-state solution. That's all we need. But what we have is we have the Israeli government building illegal settlements whereby they then have in their pockets corrupt Western governments.
Right.
This devil Barack Obama, that devil Barack Obama. Barack Obama is a devil. He's a fraud. And I'm so looking at how these black fools in America
and
across the world. He's a Muslim. He ain't a Muslim, he's a Jew.
No, he's a Muslim.
He went to the Wailing. Haven't you seen pictures of him at the Wailing Wall?
So what?
In fact, you see, everyone's fighting over Barack. You Muslims are so damn stupid. So stupid. Barack Obama, I mean, imagine. We had Operation Cast Lead. Operation Cast Lead, whereby Israel butchered and murdered over 1,500 Palestinians. Barack Obama goes to Israel and spends 3 days. 3 days! He goes to the Wailing Wall. He then goes to the West Bank and spends 2 hours. 2 hours. He then goes to Egypt, and in Egypt he says, he said, Assalamu alaikum. And you Muslims like, oh, Jesus, Allah. All he said was, Assalamu alaikum. He greeted you in the Muslim words of, how are you? And Barack Obama was greeted with all of this euphoria. You so believed in Barack Obama. Likewise, Barack Obama is a fraud. Barack Obama represents corporate America. Corporate America. That's where the Zionist lobby has tapped into. So we're not even talking about Barack Obama supporting Israel because you're Jews. We're talking about corporate level of greed. Barack Obama is a warmonger. Barack Obama is worse than George Bush. But because he's black, the nigga gets away with it. He gets away with it.
I must go home.
You must go home. Barack Obama is a fraud. He has dropped more bombs on Afghanistan and Pakistan and created more war across the Middle East than George Bush ever could.
Who is the good Muslim?
Who is a good Muslim? My friend, what sort of a question is that? Who is a good Muslim? My friend, sir, you use such a subjective argument. Being good or bad are subjective terms. I can't say, oh, that's a good Muslim and he's a bad one, because these are subjective ideas which I hold. What you should do is go out there and meet people. And we should not even think about whether they're a good Muslim or not. You should think about whether he's a good person or not. Because when I meet people, I don't say, oh, he's a good white man. Oh, he's a good white Muslim. Oh, this is a good Arab Muslim. Oh, this is a bad black man. I don't like that mustache. It tells a lot about you. Now, my brother, we are meeting people. And that's what we need to do. We need to deconstruct how we see the world. Because when we start seeing blacks as problems, or immigrants as problems, or groups as problems, then we have problems with it. When we start seeing each other as one humanity, then we can move forward. So my brother, my message is, I do not support the murder, the death and the killing of what's going on in Palestine. And I believe that we need to find a solution. But we will not find a solution by sitting down on our laurels. We have to stand up. We all have to see it as part of our cause. We all have to take responsibility for the governments that we have in power. These governments are corrupt. And I'm not saying by going out and voting, because I don't necessarily believe that voting does anything. The whole system has become corrupted. It's corrupted. Money will win all the time. Let's go out with our values. Let's make sure that we know what we stand for. Back in the day, we were in most societies, we were concerned about families. These were the central core values of our being when we were younger. Family, society, community, and then that community's responsibilities to the broader national society. Education, that all came as a part of it. Back when I was growing up, you could leave a milk on your doorstep and bread on your doorstep, and this would be a good social indicator that you are all right or not. Because if your milk or bread wasn't collected for 2 days, you'd call the police and say, Mrs. Smith next door ain't collected her bread and milk. Something must be wrong. So someone would go and check on her. Nowadays, you can't leave your bread and milk outside. Your neighbor's gonna steal it. to finance an illusionary lifestyle beyond whatever it is, an illusion. Because nowadays, we're not concerned about family, society, community. We're concerned about the shoes we wear, the car we drive, the handbags that we carry, the house we live in, how handsome or how pretty our wives or husbands are or girlfriends are. We become illusionary beings, concerned more about money, 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 money. What we can do with money. I'm going to get a new car when I get more money. I'm going to build an extension of the house when I get more money. The working man in England, when I was growing up, was satisfied with his lot. If the working man and woman could get one holiday a year, and that would be to Bognor Bloody Regis. If you got to Margate or Brighton, Margate and Brighton sounded tropical. It sounded like you were going to Brazil. If you said you were going to Blackpool, we had a big ride like fucking hell. Go to America, Disney World. Tell me it's a lie, I'm telling. But now, in the 80s, when Thatcher and Reagan deconstructed the working man's values and said, go out, people say, oh, it's the rappers, look at these musicians, Tupac, 50 Cent, get rich or die trying. Fuck that. These weren't the guys who said get rich or die trying. It was Thatcher and Reagan. Said, go out and get what you can, any which way you want to. So you had the ordinary working man give up his job in a factory to become a financial advisor, seeing how he can make some money. I want to work in an office, be a blue collar. They deconstructed everything. But I'm saying to you that the architects of the system that we live under now, it is by no accident. They make you believe that it's just by the innovations of great technology and new minds coming together to create what you need. But what they do, of course, that is that as well. But we have a pool of technological advancements always out there. The internet has been out there for years before they made it public. So they have all of this technology and they pick and choose what they're going to give us at any time as to how it will serve their needs to make us serve them better. So they pull out some technology and say, oh, let's give this to them. So they give us the internet. They give us social media. And we think, wow, look at social media. The social media is constructed upon whom you are and how you see yourself in the modern, real technological experience. So now we have people taking selfies, Why? Because they recognize that this technology, they have the great minds on it, understanding how you interpret it. So they realize that the mind of 20, 30 years ago was focused on family, community, society. The mind of today is focused on self. Me, 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 me. Who am I? What do I got? What I look like? So they tell you about selfies, the ego, narcissism, me. They tell you about YouTube, about you. They tell you about Facebook, about you, face. They tell you about MySpace. And all of these things, illusions, these are constructed to deal and address with your narcissism. So what Facebook does, what Twitter does, it allows you too to be a miniature celebrity. So you too can put a photograph of yourself up on Facebook where you were 15 years younger and 20 pounds lighter, with your best side showing. And you can sell all these illusions about yourself. I like animals and I like rock. It's nonsense. Because they realize that you will not use this new technology to create revolution. And I'm simply saying, as I close, that we are all the same people, regardless of sex, race, creed, color, sexual orientation, political persuasion, religious denomination. We are all the same people. It just depends how we look at the picture. When we look at the BNP and all of these groups, I don't blame the BNP for being so radical, because the BNP have tapped into a niche market. Because the politicians, the parties, the Conservatives, the Labour Party, they're all the same. In fact, they're more racist than the BNP. But they do not allow the debate that the people, the working people of certain spaces want to have. Some working people want to ask a legitimate question: what about jobs for my family, for my kids? Imagine growing up on a working class estate, and then you see immigrants starting to come in. And then you start saying, well, boy, when my children get older, where are they going to live in social housing? Or you start seeing the job market, competition for jobs. You say, where will my son or daughter be employed? We're looking at competition, and this is natural with certain groups. However, the problem has been People who have those points of views are not being given any channels or outlets to voice their opinions on these subjects. And so when they stifle that debate, you have groups like the BNP and all these other far right-wing groups step into the vacuum and then begin to represent these views, even though the voter may not necessarily support their broader views. They support them on those issues. We need to continue debate in society. Only through debate and discussion will we solve some of the world's ills. So with that, I will love you and leave you. Are there any questions before I close? No? Thank you very much. Power to all people.